All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to call this March 10th, 2026 governing body meeting to order. With that, I would turn it over to Councilmember Brett Kell, who has this evening's invocation. Please rise if you are able.
Tonight's invocation will be presented by Pastor Rick Fleming. Pastor Rick has been the lead pastor of Central Park Christian Church since November 2024, after a long career as an attorney. His church faithfully serves at Central Park neighborhood with an active youth ministry, a large recovery ministry, a weekly dinner, a monthly food and clothing pantry, and a warming center during the extreme cold weather. Pastor Rick grew up in the small town of Leroy, Kansas, and attended Washburn University, where he met his wife, Michelle, a native of Topeka. They are parents of 6 adult children. Early in his career, Rick spent 15 years as a state securities regulator, including more than a decade as general counsel for the Office of Kansas Securities Commission. Then he and his family moved to Washington, D.C., where he worked for the Association of State Security Regulators before being appointed in 2014 to the first investor advocate at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. In that role, he provided a voice for retail investors as policies were considered by Congress, the SEC, the stock exchanges, FASB, the PCAOB, and other financial regulators. Pastor Rick Fleming.
Thank you. Let's pray. Thank you, God, for the leaders of our city, for men and women who are willing to devote their time and their talents to serving us in this way. We pray that you bless their efforts this evening, give them strength and energy and patience as they consider the issues before them tonight, and guide them in their decision making. We also pray tonight for all the people who work for our city government, whether they're in roles like public safety or infrastructure or utilities that obviously impact all our lives, or whether they serve in roles like IT or other administrative services that are often unseen. Bless each person as they work from day to day to make Topeka a better place to live and work and raise a family, and yes, to worship you. Bless our city, we pray, and all who reside here in your Son's holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Rick.
All right, if the clerk will call roll.
Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Councilmembers Hiller.
Here.
Valdivia Acala.
Here.
Ortiz. Banks.
Here.
Kell.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Bradbury.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
And Hofer.
Here.
All right. We have 9 present with Councilmember Ortiz absent.
All right. City manager is still recovering from his illness, but plans to be back in full force next week. So this evening, Deputy City Manager Braxton Copley will continue to serve in that role. With that, we have a presentation this evening from the Topeka Housing Authority, an update. I'm going to guess it's Trey George, but if someone else walks up here, you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are, but it looks like Trey.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Duncan and governing body. My name is Trey George. I'm the President and CEO for the Topeka Housing Authority. I appreciate the offer to come and present and give you all an update of some of our activities. Tonight, what I plan to cover is go over some of our partnerships that we have, talk about some of our other interactions in the community and organizations that we work with, as well as talk about some upcoming developments we're excited about, and would definitely love to save time for any questions that y'all may have about anything that I talk about or any other questions that you have. First of all, I'll talk about is the Pine Ridge Partnership. This is the 15th year of the Pine Ridge Partnership, which is pretty amazing and hard to believe. Real quick overview of the partnership. It's located in the Pine Ridge neighborhood. It's the oldest and largest public housing neighborhood in Topeka. It was built between 1959 and 1963. Has 202 homes and about 500 people live in Pine Ridge. 15 years ago, we started working with United Way of Kaw Valley, Topeka Public Schools, were the initial partners and still partners there today, to open a parents as teachers facility in the neighborhood, as well as a early learning center preschool called Pine Ridge Prep. And again, 15 years later, the partnership is still going strong. It's continued to grow and change and kind of expand over the years. We added the Pine Ridge Family Health Center in 2017, which is a nurse practitioner-led urgent primary care center that's owned and operated by the Housing Authority. To date, we have a little over 2,700 unique patients and a little over 11,000 patient encounters in that time. Washburn University joined the partnership in 2017. The Pine Ridge Family Health Center is a dedicated training site for DNP and BSN nursing students from Washburn University, and so our staff precepts Washburn students in partnership with Washburn faculty at that site. Book-Rich Environments, or BRE, is another partnership that we do with United Way of Kaw Valley, as well as the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library and HUD. HUD actually provides us with thousands of books every year, which is pretty amazing. It's not amazing to try to find locations to store all those books, but we do get to partner with our partners to get out in the community, and we do at least 4 different events every year where we just hand out as many books and get books into the hands of families as we can. And that's been going on now for, I believe this is our 8th year doing that, and it's always a lot of fun. They're always in the summer, so it's usually pretty hot out, but I was not that excited about books when I was a kid, and there are a lot of kiddos that are, and so we're happy we're able to do that. The Deer Creek Community Center is another one I've talked about before, but we have the Topeka Police Department Community Policing Office over at Deer Creek in the basement of the community center. Been there for 11 years now. We absolutely love having the officers there on a daily basis. We work very closely with TPD on a number of different things, and we quite literally cannot do a lot of things that we do without the help and support of them. So we always have a great amount of gratitude for our police department. A couple of new ones on there. Foster Youth Initiative. This is a new partnership where we're working with DCF, providing housing choice vouchers to individuals that are aging out of the foster care system. They are the nice thing about this is they are referred over directly from DCF. They don't go through our wait list, and so as they have individuals that are aging out of the foster care system, they make a referral over to them or to us. We're able to provide them with a voucher that gives them rental assistance where they go out and find where they'd like to live in the community, and they can stay on that program for 3 years to help them get stable after coming out of the foster care system. So we're excited about that. We've not issued our first one yet. We literally just started that program, but I believe we'll start issuing some vouchers in April for that. And the 811 program, that's another new partnership that will provide rental assistance for individuals with severe and persistent mental health disorders, where we'll be able to provide rental assistance to them in existing developments in Topeka. A couple other things that we're involved with that we don't always probably talk a lot about, but we are on the strategic planning committee for the All Hands on Deck group to end chronic homelessness in Shawnee County. Very excited about the announcement last week of the opening of the Compassion Impact Center. That'll be over at Children's Palace. Huge step in the right direction to get that one-stop shop created. And there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of work that we will definitely be wanting to work with all of you on as well, but excited about that first step. We're a committee member on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and a lot of good work I think has been done in the first year. The RFP is out right now for kind of the first ideas from the community of how those funds could be stretched out into the community to make a larger impact on affordable housing. We're also on the board for the Kansas Housing Association, which is a statewide association that advocates for the federal low-income housing tax credit and state tax credit. So primarily, our primary source of development or looking at being able to do new development, whether it's on our public housing program or in the affordable housing side, is the federal tax credit program. That program has been strong. The state credit was authorized 2 years ago. Unfortunately, caught a lot of scrutiny this last legislative session and has been cut dramatically and will actually phase out in 2028, which is unfortunate. Still have some time, hopefully, to get that turned around. But if you have any type of influence in being able to encourage or advocate for that state housing tax credit, right now in Topeka, well, soon, in May, in Topeka, we will have a total of 426 affordable homes under construction. That is because of that Kansas housing tax credit. The federal tax credit helps, but the reason those are happening right now, and one of them will be ours, is because of that Kansas credit. And with that going away, I would anticipate not seeing those larger affordable developments possible, unfortunately. So anything you can do to help encourage that, it's definitely needed. And we're also on the Apartment Council of Topeka, which is the local affiliate of the National Apartment Association. And it's an association of multiple different multifamily communities, but also vendors that help to support the multifamily apartment community in Topeka. Not just affordable, actually, I'm probably on the lesser end of the affordable people that are there, and everybody else is pretty much market, but it's a good opportunity just to stay in contact with what's happening in our community from a rental perspective. The two new developments working on right now, I'll do these out of order, but Johnson Betts Meadows, I'm sure y'all are familiar with. We're super excited about that. That is one of those developments that I was referring to that is made possible because of that Kansas credit and 4% federal bonds, but it is a partnership with Cent. They are the landowner, and so there will be a long-term lease entered with Cent to build the development on land that they currently own on Fremont Hill, as well as then they will be the supportive services provider at that site. It's 176 new homes, which we're super excited about that. 106 of the homes will have a project-based voucher assigned to it. I know if you're not in the affordable housing world, a lot of these words may not mean a whole lot, but the biggest difference between a housing choice voucher, which is the vouchers that we issue at the housing authorities to individuals, is that voucher is assigned to a family, and it follows that family as they move from one location to another in our community. Where a project-based voucher, what that means is that the apartment itself is what's being assisted, and when a family moves out, the next family that moves in, then they benefit from that assistance. So it's just a little bit of a difference, but both of those vouchers, even the ones that will be at Johnson Betts Meadows, are vouchers that are coming out of our voucher pool. With that, just want to tell you all thank you very much. Try to keep it brief, but definitely answer any questions that y'all may have about, as I said, anything that we've discussed tonight or anything that you may have questions about.
All right. Councilmember Valdivia Alcala.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Trey, I don't know how much more you can tell us about this, but with the housing tax credit, do you know, is it going to be coming up for a vote pretty soon? Is it still in committee? I hear that our lobbyist isn't here tonight. And I don't know if you don't know that answer or answers, if maybe Mayor Duncan would.
Yeah. I don't know 100% where it sits right now. I know that there's been a lot of advocacy and support for it, but I'm not sure where it sits as far as a vote coming up.
So on that, they wanted to eliminate it entirely last year. The compromise that was reached was sort of what I call a 5-year phase out. And so there's kind of 3-ish more years to do something about it, but it is going to start to phase out over the next couple years unless something's done. So there's not an active bill at this time. I think the plan is to try to come back next year with a plan that does something to make it more cost affordable for the state, but still does what Mr. George was saying, which help us all build houses. So yeah, there's no vote the rest of the session, but the clock is ticking over the next couple of years to save it.
Yeah. When it
Okay,
was,
so go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I apologize. I was just going to say, when it was authorized, I believe it was for $35 million per year. Last year it was cut to 28. This year it goes to 8. Next year's 8, and then it sunsets in 28 was my understanding.
Yeah, and I knew that this had started being on the radar, ever since the last session. But I guess, and I don't know if this question would be, or this request would be for the mayor, or if it would be for assistant city manager. But what I would like to know, so we can get ahead of this, if there's any way, which we should be able to find out, how many current dwellings that we have in Topeka that are utilizing these tax credits. What the full, how many multifamily dwellings, or I don't know if this goes to duplexes, and then what that dollar amount is, and then looking at what phase out could mean with some kind of basic explanation to the council. Because once that, let's just assume the worst and assume that the phase out's going to happen and it's eventually, maybe in 3 or 4 years, it's going to go to zero. Just a base explanation of how that will impact these multifamily dwellings, because we should be concerned about it and we should be getting ahead of it rather than behind it. And I would also say, and I know that Mayor Duncan continues to hear me talk about this, we need to be building coalitions, because what I've been hearing from the legislature is that, in my opinion, more and more, they are wanting to dictate what happens in the cities, especially the larger cities, when everything that I can see is they don't even have a really good understanding of what the multiplicity of challenges are in these larger cities. So again, I keep talking about coalition building, coalition building, coalition building. So along with our lobbyists and the lobbyists from other municipalities, so together that we can go and really try to sell this real story that's happening in our city. And so I thank you, Trey, for bringing this forward. I'm sure you have some of the same concerns, but I think at this point we really need to get ahead of it if this is something that may be phased out in the next 3 years. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. Councilmember Hiller.
Just wanted to draw you back to your last slide and have you chat a little bit further about the plans for Van Buren.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yes. So with Van Buren, what we have done since the last time we spoke is we worked with Stantec to submit a Brownsfield grant application to the EPA to provide funding to mediate the building, but due to the condition of it and the fire that happened, mediate it means basically tearing it down and bringing back in dirt to make it shovel ready. We should hear back on that funding here soon. If that is awarded, then that would give us the money to take down the building. And then we have submitted a tax credit application to KHRC. Our preliminary application went in February, and we were invited to submit a full application. And so we will get that submitted, and we would find out if we get allocated that the end of towards the end of this year. They don't have a hard date of their announcement, but so when we are awarded that, then that would give us funding to build 20 new homes at that site.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. George? Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Have a great night.
Thank you for being here. All right, before we move on, Councilmember Ortiz says she's online,
Okay.
so she wants to make sure we know she's here, and two, but she's not sure we heard her. Okay, so do you want to unmute yourself, Councilmember Ortiz, to make sure we can hear you? It says you're on mute, we do not hear you. So we'll work on that as we move on, but you might need to reboot or something. We see you. It says you're not muted, we just don't hear you. Although you're not talking right now. Okay. You might have to reboot your computer. We'll go from there. She threw me some signs. They looked okay, though. All right, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Items 3A and B are resolutions introduced by the Public Infrastructure Committee recommending approval of project number 841099, Phase 6, for street improvements to the area bounded by 7th Street, Cambridge Avenue, 8th Avenue, and Orleans Street. And B is recommending approval of project number 841099, Phase 7, for street improvements to Southwest Oakley Avenue from 8th Avenue to Front Street. Items C, D, and E are resolutions introduced by the Public Infrastructure Committee amending the 2026 to 2035 CIP and the 2026-2028 CIB to increase the budget for project number 241085 for the 2026 Public Right-of-Way Accessibility Guidelines Ramp Program. D is to add project number 701072 for Southeast 21st Bridge repair over Butcher Creek BNSF and providing final approval for the project. E is to add project number 701071 for the Kansas Avenue Bridge repairs and providing final approval for the project. F are minutes of the regular meeting of March 3, 2026, and there's one cereal malt beverage on-premise license application for Supermart El Torito located at 3000 Northwest Topeka Boulevard, and staff is recommending approval.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Councilmember Kell. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilmember Bradbury. With that, I'll ask the clerk to take a vote.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Yeah.
Is she online?
She said a thumbs up.
So Councilmember Ortiz is a yes. And then Councilmember Valdivia-Aquila?
Yes.
Okay. And Hofer's out of the room. All right. Okay, we have 9 yes. The motion carries.
Okay. With that, we will move on to action items. We'll start with action item 4A. City Clerk.
A is a public hearing regarding a petition by AIM Strategies LLC and Dream Big Partnership LLC to vacate a public sanitary sewer line easement on property located at 1801 Southwest Wanamaker Road, and an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez relating to the vacation of public sanitary sewer line easement line at 1801 Southwest Wanamaker Road, City of Topeka, Shawnee County, Kansas.
Deputy City Manager.
Mayor Dan Warner, Planning Director, will handle items 4A, B, and C.
All right. All yours, Dan.
Mayor, governing body, good to see everybody again. So this first application is very similar to the next one, but we'll deal with them separately. So this first one deals with the vacation of a public sewer line easement at 1801 Southwest Wanamaker, the mall. At their expense, the developer will relocate that existing water line, or sewer line, I'm sorry, around a new building addition on the west side of the mall. So again, the whole point here is to allow a building addition on the mall, so that sewer line needs to be moved. No objections were expressed by reviewing agencies. Staff recommends the governing body hold a public hearing and approve the proposed vacation.
All right, so this item does require a public hearing, so does 4B. So I will go ahead here in a minute and open up that public hearing before we have discussion and questions. And so with that, at this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone present who would like to speak on this matter. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this matter? All right, last chance. Anyone present who would like to speak on this matter? If not, and apparently there is not, which is fine, I will now close this public hearing. With that, I will open up the questions and comments from the governing body. I see none. So if someone wanted to make a motion, I'm sure we could take that also. All right, I have a motion to approve from Councilmember Banks, a second from Councilmember Miller. Any other comments? All right, with that, I'll ask the clerk to open the vote.
All right, Councilmember Valdivia-Aquila
Yes.
and Ortiz.
She says the floating thumbs up there.
Okay. All right, we have 10 yes, the motion carries.
All right, we will move on to action item 4B. City Clerk.
B is a public hearing regarding a petition by AIM Strategies LLC and Dream Big Partnership LLC to vacate a public water line easement on property located at 1801 Southwest Wanamaker Road, and an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez relating to the vacation of a public water line easement line at 1801 Southwest Wanamaker Road, City of Topeka, Shawnee County, Kansas.
Dan, go ahead.
So similar circumstance to the previous case, except this is dealing with a public water line. So again, the developer is going to relocate that existing water line around a new building addition on the west side of the mall. No objections were expressed by reviewing agencies. Staff recommends the governing body hold a public hearing and approve the proposed vacation.
All right, so this item also requires a public hearing. So before we have any conversation or comments, at this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if there was anyone present who would like to speak on this matter. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this action item? One more time, is there anyone present who would like to speak on this matter? Does not appear so. So with that, this public hearing is now closed. I will open it up to any questions or comments from the governing body. I do not see any, so that means a motion would be in order. I have a motion to approve from Councilmember Kell and a second from Deputy Mayor Hofer. Any other comments or questions? All right, City Clerk, take a vote.
Councilmember Valdivia Akla
Yes.
and Ortiz. Okay, and Councilmember Kell. All right, we have 10 yes, the motion carries.
All right, we will move on to action item 4C. City Clerk.
C is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez, amending the district map referred to and made a part of the zoning ordinances by Section 1850-050 of the Topeka Municipal Code by providing for certain changes in zoning on a 1.36 acre property located along the west side of Southwest Urish Road, approximately 500 feet north of the northwest intersection of Southwest Urish Road and Southwest 21st Street from PUD Planned Unit Development District C2 Commercial Uses to M2 Multiple Family Dwelling District.
All right, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. So the next case here is a zoning case. So the applicant wishes to rezone the subject property, which is just west of 21st and Urish, from PUD with C2 commercial uses to M2 multiple family. So the overall property is 6 acres. The rezoning is approximately 1.4, so that's what we're dealing with tonight. The remainder of the property is already zoned M2, so the rezoning is going to match the rest of the property. The proposed use is 18 duplexes. The applicant held a neighborhood information meeting and answered questions at that meeting. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this item in February and recommended approval. Staff recommends approval as well. Be happy to try to answer any questions.
Questions or comments for Dan? Deputy Mayor Hofer.
Dan, I believe this is in my district, but I wasn't notified about it. Is there any kind of a plan, or will they have to come back with a layout of how they're going to do this? Because I noticed the people that did go to the meeting were concerned about traffic. So I'm curious, do we have any idea of what we're going to have for exits and entrances into the property?
So they will have to come back with a site plan application, and at that time, we'll review a traffic study. I believe we have the traffic study already. I'm not positive where the entrances are going to be at this point. The traffic study hasn't been approved anyway. So the process really is to come back with a site plan, and at that point, we'll review landscaping, buffer yards, traffic, everything else associated with a development. I will note that they are pursuing affordable low-income housing tax credits, so that process would still need to play out. And if they're awarded, then we will see the site plan and that kind of stuff.
Okay, because I know, I agree with them, it is kind of a speedway on Urish. And I won't admit to what speed I go down that street. But it is a problem for people who are trying to get out of their driveways onto Wanamaker. I've seen that happen several times. So I just want to make sure that that's taken into consideration.
Okay, I'll make note of that.
Thank you.
I think to the Deputy Mayor's point, I used to say this as a council person, and I'll back up my counsel as the mayor now, is to all you developers, builders out there, if you're doing a project, find out who the city council person is and reach out to them and let them ask these questions and give them a chance and let them know what the project is so they can have a little more information and be able to ask some of these questions earlier on as we go through it and help the citizens out there who live there. So I'll put that plug in for all you folks building. We love you, we want you here, we want you to develop, but reach out to your council person and find out who that is when you're doing these projects. Councilmember Bradbury.
Thank you. I just had a question on the site plan that was submitted. I believe the presentation mentioned it was 18 duplexes, but the site plan looked like it contained duplexes and quads. Could you clarify that for me? Or is it subject to change?
So we didn't have the zoning doesn't require, nothing about the zoning approves how it's going to be laid out or how many units. The overall idea was 18 duplexes when it was submitted. You are going to have another item that follows this, assuming things go well here, that's going to explain the RHID and some more details about the project on that side of it. But yeah, I believe it's going to be duplexes.
We can expect the site plan to change then.
So we'll get a site plan if the zoning gets approved. They will submit an official site plan that will take into consideration everything else that we need for setbacks and traffic and all that. So
Okay.
I suspect we'll get 18 duplexes, but it is subject to change depending on the award they get or the incentives or whatever else.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy City Manager, do you have
Thank you. And again, there's two different processes going here. One is the zoning, which is the condition precedent to be able to move on. Just to clarify, the site plan will be submitted to the staff. It will not come back to the governing body.
Right.
But the governing body will have an opportunity through the RHID process that they're applying for to review the detailed RHID project plan. Tonight will just be setting the public hearing for the first step of the RHID. After Commerce approves, then they will have to come back with a detailed plan laying out how they're going to develop it, what the ask is in terms of the RHID eligible expenses. So we will get a lot more detail to be able to make informed decisions as we move through the process.
any other comments or questions? I will say before we vote that this does require disclosure of any ex parte communication. So prior to proceeding with the vote, each member of the governing body who is engaged in ex parte communication with any individual, either in favor of or against the matter being considered, must state that the communication occurred and indicate that even in light of having engaged in the communication, they were able to fairly, objectively, and impartially consider the measure based only upon the evidence provided on the record. The record includes the Planning Commission minutes, the staff report and its attachments, the public comments made during the Planning Commission hearing, and similar relevant information related to the matter. So if there's anybody who needs to disclose that, now is your chance. Otherwise, a motion would be in order if there's no more comments or questions for Dan or staff. I have a motion to approve from Deputy Mayor Hofer and a second from Councilmember Bradbury. Any other comments or questions? All right, clerk, take a vote.
Okay, Councilmember Valdivia Aqua. Councilmember
Yes.
Yes. And Ortiz.
Second time.
Council.
Oh,
Okay. All right. We have 10 yes, the motion carries.
all right, thank you, Dan. We will move on to action item 4D, City Clerk.
D is a resolution introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez, making certain findings pursuant to the Kansas Reinvestment Housing Incentive District Act, which regard to an application submitted by ATA Development LLC to establish an RHID, and requesting that the Secretary of Commerce review the resolution and advise the governing body.
Deputy City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. EcoDevo Director Leah Bowling will take this item.
Good evening, thank you. So tonight is a presentation on the first step of an RHID application process. This is in regards to the Urish Center proposed project area, as you just heard the rezoning case. So ATA Properties is proposing this district located at Southwest Urish Road, north of 21st Street. And as you just heard, the rezoning to M2 for the portion that was not classified as M2. The development runs north and south of Urish Road on the west side. So the proposed project, the initial application, outlines 18 new two-bedroom, two-bathroom duplexes with single-car garage units, offering about 1,200 square feet of living space at $2,499 of rental monthly market rate, age-in-place housing units. So tonight, staff is requesting that you adopt the resolution on the agenda, which is the first step of establishing the district itself. Upon the governing body's approval of the resolution, staff have to send the application and the resolution to the Department of Commerce, requesting their approval and ensuring that the district meets all of the statutes surrounding the RHID proposed development district. Upon KDOC's approval, we move to step 2 of the RHID process, which was mentioned a few minutes ago. There are several other steps that we must take. We will work with the developer for them to submit their housing development plan, also known as a project plan, that outlines all of the financial elements of the development project and all of the plans that go along with the actual construction. Staff do a financial analysis to ensure it meets the but-for test, followed by convening the RHID review committee, review team, who then reviews the financial analysis and recommends moving forward with the proposed RHID application. We would then draft a development agreement and work through the terms and negotiation of that development agreement with the developer. Setting a public hearing then for the consideration of that development agreement and the governing body's approval of the project plan, as well as formally establishing the district along with state statute guidelines. So tonight, we ask for the governing body to approve the resolution in front of you so that we can send the application to the Department of Commerce for their review and consideration. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Councilmember Hiller.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you. Apologies that I didn't get these questions in advance, but when it says age in place, is there an expectation this would be a maintenance-free development, if you know? And also, would the rent that is cited at $24.99 a month would the final rent with the assistance of the incentive be less than that, or is that the expected rent?
With the application that we received, that is the stated rent amount that they've proposed with their initial application. Once we have their development plan and we can do that financial analysis, that development plan should be accompanied with a full pro forma that we can review and assess the market rate outcome of the development.
Okay, and the first part of my question was, it says age-in-place development. Mm-hmm. Is there an expectation it would be maintenance-free?
I believe it is. I can verify and get back to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Leah? Councilmember Miller.
Thank you. $2,500 a month is wild. I know that's not you. I know that's not us saying that. But I just want to put that on the record so that they hear this. That's wild. Looking for incentives for $2,500 a month. Now, I'll be living with somebody for the rest of my life if that's the case, because I only got like $6, and $2,500 a month is a lot of money for anybody for a duplex. Nothing wrong with duplex. I think they're great. And if it is they do all the maintenance and they do all that, sure, that's worth probably a couple $100, but $2,500 is wild. So I just want to make sure I'm on the record saying that, because I hope that they hear that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Councilmember Kell.
Can we get what, maybe a little bit more information when this comes back with what is the amenities are offered, because if it's just maintenance-free and nothing else, or are they offering, like other places, like maybe like a Brewster or something like that, where they have dining facilities and all that are included? So this way, we can understand that this is making more sense when you add all those things in versus, hey, we're gonna mow your grass, take care of your snow, and it's $2,400 a month, because as has been said before, that is an extreme amount, especially for people that at that point are going to be on fixed incomes, because most of them are going to be retirees, and it's going to be Social Security and whatever they might have saved up in retirement. But that is an extreme amount to try to be surviving off of when you're not working for the most part.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we would take a motion. So I will move to approve. We have a second. Second by Councilmember Bradbury. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll ask the clerk to take our vote.
Councilmembers Valdivia Aquila
Reluctantly, yes.
and Ortiz.
She sent a thumbs up.
Okay. Okay, we have 9 yes with Councilmember Banks voting no. The motion carries.
So we will move on to action item 4E, City Clerk.
E is renewal of a real estate lease agreement between the City of Topeka and the Kansas Military Board for the use of the National Guard Armory as a training facility for the Topeka Police Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Governing Body, Deputy City Manager. I'm here requesting authorization to renew our lease, which runs every 5 years, with the National Guard Armory for our regional training facility located at 2722 Southwest Topeka Boulevard. I think most of you have been there. Some of you still have to come and pay a visit. Thanks. Historically, we started in 2016 when we moved from the Law Enforcement Center to the Nickel Armory. And this will be our third request to renew our 5-year lease. The long-term objective for this facility to act as a regional training center for this area and a training hub, which we host classes of all sorts, excuse me, classes of all sorts, and people that want to hold training in a regional area. And we get in-kind payback, such as extra seats and training classes that we wouldn't otherwise have to pay, that we'd otherwise have to pay for. Thank you. For those of you that have been or haven't been, actually, the training facility is located inside the Armory in the secure area. There are 2 large classrooms for hosting of training, a bunch of storage, 2 locker room areas, a Milo Center for scenario-based training, a training library, office space, and we also have access to the gymnasium. It's not in the PowerPoint, it's actually in the documents. Apologize for that. But if you're wondering the size, it's 6,938 square feet of office space and 15,535 square feet of joint use space, such as the gymnasium and the workout areas that we use jointly with the Guard. The ask for renewal this year will be $62,713.40. The base rate of $4 per square foot did not change. They raised the cost for electricity for the year from $2.28 to $2.80. So I think it went up like $3,600 and some change for this. They maintained the rental pretty steady over the years. So that's what we're asking for. Any questions that I can entertain?
Questions or comments from the governing body? Councilmember Miller.
Thank you. Thank you for the information. Can you tell us how often do we use that?
The training center? Well, it's joint use for the Recruits Academy and for in-service training, which we're doing both right now, actually, so we use that quite a bit.
Right.
And then when we have space available, we'll invite training, people that conduct training to conduct it here regionally, and then they'll respond in kind by giving us free seats. That's why we're able to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I understand the use of it. I just wondered how often it was being used. So if you're talking in 30 days, are we in there, 2 weeks at a time?
Well, in the training center, the academy's there all the time.
Okay.
And then this coming spring, we're starting our in-service. We're going to get the entire department through our in-service topics. One of them is de-escalation training, so we'll be in there for the next 3 or 4 months, pretty full, pretty booked up class. So.
Awesome, thank you.
So last time I was in there, the kitchen would be what I call non-functional. Has that improved, and was there any discussions? I mean, is that our responsibility? I'm talking basics. Refrigerator didn't work. It needed a microwave. I mean,
right. The way the lease is worded, they certain structural repairs, they'll kind of like a landlord-tenant kind of thing they'll do. Some of it is up to us. I can't remember what the kitchen looks like at that point. I haven't wandered in there, but within the contract, though, they'll take care of the bigger issues.
Sure, and I understand that. I just also know that building's used a lot as we're doing that training, so not having some, what I'd call basic amenities that, whether it's staff or trainees can just keep stuff in, whether it's refrigerated or whether. So it'd be nice if I can go in there and look, I guess, but if someone would give me an update at some point and see
Absolutely.
what our status is of just making sure it's functional for everybody would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that
Thanks.
tomorrow.
Any other comments or questions? All right, not. Take a motion. I have a motion to approve from Deputy Mayor Hofer, a second from Councilmember Kell. Any other comments? If not, clerk, take a vote, please.
Councilmembers Valdivia Aqua,
Yes.
Ortiz,
She sent a thumbs up.
and Kell. Okay, we have 10 yes, the motion carries.
Thank you, Chief. With that, we will move on to action item 4F, City Clerk.
F is a resolution introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez, setting a public hearing to consider the advisability of establishing a tax increment financing district for the Capital City Townhomes property located north of Southeast 21st Street, east of Southeast Adams Street, and west of Southeast Pennsylvania Avenue, pursuant to KSA 12-1770 at SEEK.
Deputy City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this item and the next item. Let me grab the little.
Push the trigger in.
Technology's great when it works. All right. Cap City Townhomes. This is the,
Push the middle button. I got it.
this is the redevelopment of the old Pioneer Adams Townhomes, northeast corner of 21st and Adams. The yellow boundary shows the boundaries of the proposed TIF district. This is the rehabilitation of 47 townhome units in 11 buildings. Rehab expected to take 12 to 14 months. It'll be a rolling rehab. A grand total of 47 units. That would be 9 market rate units and 38 affordable units. These would be restricted under the LURA to a 60% area median income. The developer is forming the TIF to be able to meet the requirements for a 20-year neighborhood revitalization program in lieu of the standard 10-year. But the developer intends to forego TIF to be able to take advantage of the NRP incentive The reason why he's doing this is to meet the underwriting requirements of the tax credit syndicator, who is obviously very concerned about the very limited rental income of 47 units over the course of the 15 years of the primary LIHTC. And then under KHRC's current rubric, they would be requested to agree to another 15-year affordability period after that. The statutory requirement is set forth in KSA 12-1770 that you have to fit within one of the statutory rubrics to be able to meet the requirement for a redevelopment district. The developer has landed upon the blight framework and has engaged a consultant who has already completed the blight study. We also, under the 20-year NRP, there's a requirement that they meet the city's but-for test. We have done the financial analysis, and it does meet the but-for test, so we are well ahead of the game in terms of the information that we have provided. And again, this request is to set the public hearing for the consideration of the TIF on April 21st, 2026. Respectfully ask for your approval of the resolution, and happily will answer any questions that you have.
All right, any comments or questions for Deputy City Manager? Councilmember Valdivia-Alcala.
Actually, I'm a little bit confused right now, but I'll save the confusion until later. Tell me, mayor or city manager, deputy city manager, who I would need to meet with to get a better understanding of the revitalization plan, because initially when I saw this and initially when I start thinking about TIFs, I'm thinking about what we've been hearing from the public. I think specifically Ms. Twemlow about set-asides and how those can be used in very creative ways instead of continuing to tax people or try to get something on the ballot to, for half cent for mental health or housing for homelessness, et cetera. So bottom line is, who do I need to meet to talk with about this? Because I just have basic questions of understanding.
Councilmember, I will reach out to the council assistants tomorrow and ask for them to set up a meeting for you and I and Ms. Bowling, and we will happily answer your questions.
All right, that'll work. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions for Deputy City Manager? Councilmember Hiller.
Thank you. In my mind, these are new buildings. What year were they built? Does anybody remember?
10 years ago?
10?
No, the
More than that,
original LIHTC has expired on these. So this project, I think, dates back to 4, maybe. So they have to wait. They have to get past the original 15-year grant to be eligible for another tranche. But we can find that out, and I'll gladly send an email to all the governing body in terms of, I just don't have the application at my fingertips to be able to tell you. Actually, give me 1 second, because it is in the blight study when that was constructed. 2006 and 2007 were when these were constructed.
Yeah, I'm just, again, in my mind, they're kind of new compared to a lot of the housing, and so to have them deteriorated to the point where they need that major concern, it's concerning to me. I would like to see the history of the inspections on that property as the time went past. Just, it's pretty young. Thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia-Alcala.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager Copley, could you please share the information that you're sharing with Councilwoman Hiller to the entire governing body? I'm also sure, Councilwoman Hiller, that's something we'd like to review on PHS. Thank you.
If I could ask the council member, obviously the blight study is already included in the materials. Tell me what you mean by inspection history.
One of the issues that's come up through Councilwoman Valdivia-Alcala and the Changing Our Culture property maintenance work is is that HUD is supposed to be doing annual inspections on HUD-assisted property. So just wanting to double check what the inspection requirements were on that property, whether the inspections were done, and whether...
Yes, ma'am, this was not a HUD property. This was low-income housing tax credits through KHRC.
And is there a requirement for those?
We can-
She's nodding. I think there is, and so we just...
I thought, Councilwoman,
Yeah.
Mayor, can I speak?
Yes.
My understanding is that there is, or complaints, or it may be and/or complaints are supposed to be called in to KHRC if there's issues. I agree with you. I thought that exact same thing about the years. And I also think that we should work with Director Chardine to see how many code compliance calls have been coming in the past 15 years. I know that our documentation was pretty hazy before Chardine and changing our culture of property maintenance, but still, we need to look at this. Thank you, Mayor.
Certainly, Mayor, we will reach out to KHRC and we will reach out to our property maintenance code to see what level of inspection reports that we can get to share with the governing body.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bradbury.
When I was reading through this, I got a little confused about, I understand the requesting hearing for the TIF district, but it seems like the TIF district is being asked. It seems like the TIF district is being asked for in order to take advantage of a separate type of incentive? I don't.
That is 100% correct.
Can you explain
Yes, ma'am.
why something like that would happen?
Of course, ma'am, yes. So the underwriter for this project is looking at making sure that the income and expenses work out over the entire 15-year period of the initial LIHTC grant. So the existing program under the Neighborhood Revitalization Act would allow for a 10-year abatement on the increment. So the developer would still be responsible for paying the baseline property taxes. The increment in terms of the increased valuation of that in taxes would be what is subject to the rebate. So the developer would pay him, that amount would be rebated back. The 10-year doesn't meet the underwriter's requirement. Hence, the request by the developer to qualify for what we call the plus 20, or a 20-year neighborhood revitalization, which requires that the property be in a TIF district. So the developer's ask is to create the TIF district so that it qualifies for the 20-year NRP, and the developer has been very clear that they do not intend to seek the TIF, which would be up to 100% of the taxes to be able to use those as to pay for redevelopment costs. Instead, they're saying we'll go ahead and agree to pay the baseline property taxes for that full 20 years with the request for the abatement of the incremental taxes under the plus 20 NRP program, which requires council approval, and it also requires that the project meet the but-for test. And so before we brought this in front of you, we had the developer provide us with the blight study to show that it would indeed meet the statutory factors to create the TIF district. And we also asked them for the pro forma to be able for us to do the financial analysis, because we did not want to waste your time to have a public hearing setting a TIF district and asking for the NRP if it wasn't going to meet the but-for test.
And so is this an unusual ask, this type of incentive?
I've been around for a long time. This is the first time I've seen this.
Do we have any kind of information or analysis of the financial impact to the city as a result of,
What we disclosed in the action item was that the property taxes currently are about $20,000. We do not know how much we know that the total project budget's 13 million. What we don't know is how much the county appraiser is going to value the reconstructed, rehabilitated projects, knowing that they will take into consideration the amount of the investment, but absolutely on commercial properties, they take into consideration the amount of the rents. And again, the rents here are incredibly low when you're looking at requiring 60% AMI. And so we know that that will discount in terms of the value that they ultimately need to land upon. So I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot tell you what the county appraiser is going to appraise the finished product at, or what the tax value is going to be. What we do know, and what has been clearly disclosed to you, is the developer will be on the hook to pay the baseline taxes for that 20-year period. It would be the incremental amount that would be rebated back.
And that's at 95%, is that right? Or is
Yes,
that-
ma'am.
So 95%
Yes,
would go
ma'am.
back to...
The city and county would share the other 5% as the administrative fee for administering the NRP.
Thanks.
Councilmember Kell.
So just to make sure, clarity on this. If we're not losing anything by doing this, it's just improving we're going to keep what we've been getting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're not losing anything. So for me, improving affordable housing is a project like this where 80% of the units are for affordable housing at the 60% AMI. To me, it's a great thing that someone's wanting to do that. My only concern is why it's being a TIF district, are we able to go and inspect to make sure things are being upkept? Because it's great that you're wanting to improve something, but if you're not going to upkeep it over that 20-year period, is it really worth a benefit long-term for the city? Which I understand anything that, affordable housing over that 20 years is an incentive, but if they're just going to fix it up and then let it start falling apart again, what's the long-term benefits besides just the housing? Because to me, that's where we're running into a lot of problems with our rental properties, is our landlords are not doing upkeep. They're doing the bare minimum to keep their residences legal, and beyond that, they're not doing a lot. And I'm not saying all. I'd say about 75% of our landlords are probably not following the best ability, but I know there are some great ones out there that take care of their properties, but I just want to see us invest something into this project and have it fall back apart again in 10, 15 years. So is there any clawback measures we can have on this?
We can certainly explore that. As Council Member Valdivia Alcala had indicated, if they are successful getting the LIHTC grant, then KHRC would require annual inspections. And as we've already indicated, we will request any inspection reports that KHRC has, as well as any inspections that Mr. Chardine would have, to provide that to you all.
All right, thank you.
And I'm not cutting off discussion. We have several council members with comments. I just remind the question before us tonight is whether to have a hearing on April 21st, at which point we will then either be able to make a decision then or move it to a later date. So just, Councilmember Valdivia Alcala.
Well, then I'm probably going to belabor this more, Mayor. So I have the questions in my mind, but let me just for clarification for me. 10 years, they'll pay partial taxes and then they'll be rebated, correct? Correct.
The ask is for the 20-year NRP. So during that 20 years, they will pay the base amount of tax that they're currently paying, plus the additional amount that the county appraiser has, and then they will be rebated back the amount over the base increment.
Okay. I think that I understand at least that I'm not an expert in this field. This goes all the way back to, all this new development, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, for new council people, maybe they're really versed in it. I don't know if for us that have been on it for a while, we're getting a little bit seasoned enough to know, wait a minute, all of this lingo I'm not understanding. So in my opinion, staff's going to need to work harder. You, administrative staff, is going to have to work harder to help us understand at times, which is why setting up the special meeting with you. The other thing that I want to say with KHRC is I don't know specifically if they do. I think that they might do an inspection, but I do know that they're supposed to handle all complaints. The other thing I want to say about KHRC, and I want to be very vociferous in this, from what we experienced with Timberlea, they are lacking. They are lacking. So I wouldn't put a whole bucket of confidence in KHRC. And that is from people on the staff, the old city attorney, Chardine being in on the meeting, all of us, and seeing what really went down behind closed doors when it came to Timberlea Apartments. And we know that HUD dropped the ball, but KHRC majorly dropped the ball. So I don't think we should have a lot of warm fuzzies just because KHRC may be doing inspections. And if we want to get a handle on the abysmal state that so much of our multifamily dwellings are in, we're going to have to understand what the terrain really looks like for those that are those organizations, agencies that are really supposed to be doing due diligence and have not been. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember McGee.
Just for a point of clarification, your NRP does not have I understand the rebate, it does not have a stair step down on the rebate?
It depends. So if it's in a historic, you get the 95 for 10 years. If it's not in, and I will apologize that I don't have it committed to memory, but in other areas, it would be for the first 5, and then it would stair step down.
Okay.
What this would be asking for is the special treatment of plus 20 for 95 for the full 20 years. But,
Thank you.
so it depends. Some stair step, others don't.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right. Well, I guess I will make a motion to approve. We have a second. Second from Councilmember Kell. All right. I'll ask the clerk. Excuse me. Take a vote. Excuse me.
Councilmember Valdivia Acqua
Cautiously, yes.
and Councilmember Ortiz. She's not there. Councilmember Ortiz?
You didn't see her, Dan?
See the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay.
Oh, she gave me those.
Oh, thumbs up, okay, hold on here. All right, so we have 10 yes, the motion carries.
We will move on to action item 4G.
G is a public hearing to consider the advisability of creating a community improvement district for the Hotel Topeka property, and an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez establishing a community improvement district at 17th and Topeka Boulevard for the Hotel Topeka property, and levying a CID sales tax of 2% within the CID.
Deputy City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the third time that this item will have been in front of you. The first was in front of the TDC. The second was when we did the resolution setting the public hearing. And so tonight, we're actually having the public hearing, and the request is to pass an ordinance to establish a 2-cent CID on the Hotel Topeka property. The CID boundaries are very intentional of the entire approximately 6 acres that encompass the Hotel Topeka property. Like I said, it's intentional because we wanted to capture that parking lot in the event that we were to charge for parking, in the event that we would have food trucks that would be there selling in the parking lot, they would be required to collect this additional 2-cent sales tax. The proposed scope in terms of discussions with the Endeavor Hotel Group include building envelope, mechanical, electrical, site improvements, roof, windows, ADA, as well as civil site improvements. Estimated project budget is approximately $6 million. This will be a pay-as-you-go, where the city will be reimbursing itself. The length of the CID is statutorily limited to 22 years. We reasonably anticipate that the revenue from the Hotel Topeka property, not including Manor, would be approximately $3.2 million over this 22-year term. I want to just remind you that back in September, the governing body passed a charter ordinance to increase the transient guest tax on the Hotel Topeka property to 8%. So all the other properties in the city of Topeka are limited to 7%. In addition, that charter ordinance also established the base year of 2025, which is approximately $122,000. That will continue to be paid to Visit Topeka, and the city will get its 10% share of that. Any amount over that base 2025 year will be kept by the city of Topeka to reimburse itself for Hotel Topeka expenses, which to date are approximately $18 million, including the $5 million of interest on the bonds that were issued to cover the cost of the purchase price. If you take those TGT projections out to 2062, that would net approximately 15.7 plus the additional 3.2, you're looking at 18.9, so in excess of the 18 million of expenses to date, including that future bond interest. Our recommendation is to go ahead and pass the ordinance establishing the 2-cent CID on this. As a reminder, the county passed a 2-cent CID on the entire Expo campus, less the Hotel Topeka property. And they anticipate, I believe it's 10 million of potential income from that over the 22-year CID, and they're using that revenue to pay for their portion of the Manor rehabilitation. And so with that, I'll respectfully ask that you pass the ordinance, and happy to answer any questions that you would have.
All right, this item is a public hearing, so before we have comments or questions, I'm going to open the public hearing. So at this time, I open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone present who would like to speak to the matter.
Hello, Your Honor. Last week, the word was pontificate. Today, deerzerism. This is the perfect case of deerzerism. A 2% CID, I'm for it. Let's do it. Let's approve it. But let's get some consistency. The poor guy up at California Crossing. Hey, Avery, you coming for me? No. Double checking, man. You never know. Inside man. The deerzerism here is amazing. The 2% for the government, you got to start giving it to the people. The poor guy that builds the nicest grocery store in town, bottom line, in an area that needs the nicest grocery store in town. And also the same guy, the same grocer who has a high-end operation as good, if not better, than Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee's a great retailer. They're publicly owned or employee-owned. But the deerzerism here, think about it here. You guys, you've got this whole government up here, and you got to start taking care of us down here. You go to board meetings that set standards and policies. that the public, we don't know about it, but you can't, you're going to regret in the long run your decisions of having a state-run government. You'll regret it. Capitalism will eventually catch up with you. They talk about it in Kansas City. I got clients that laugh at me when they talk about coming here. You know, think about all the money the guy had to spend out of his own pocket. Thank God you guys redid his development agreement, you know, to bring in Chick-fil-A and Whataburger. But you can't give the poor guy, you got to create an even playing field. If it's good enough for you guys, it's good enough for the guy in California Crossing. Start thinking about the little guy. You guys have got an unlimited budget. Think about $5 million in interest to come out of your, how come nobody gets fired over this deal? So, and everybody's patting everybody on the back. Hey, this is a good deal, this is a good deal. Are you kidding me? $5 million in interest to lose all the rest of the money? I won't take up much of your time. But it feels, it's a therapy to come down here and vent. What's really nice in my life is Topeka's becoming a fleeting thought with everything else that I've got going on in my life. When I first moved back here in 2000, it was because it was a good location to travel from. Dear Tourism.
Is there anyone else present who would like to speak to this matter? All right, last call. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter? As it appears there is not, this public hearing is now closed. Councilmember Kell.
First, I'd like to reiterate what I discussed last time when we talked about California Crossing. That is a lower income neighborhood over there, and to say watch out for the little guys by adding more onto that as the gentleman decides to leave every single time someone else wants to challenge him. But he always looks for his best interest, and not, he always talks about the little guy. I'm looking at the little guy. Our low-income neighborhood over there doesn't need an additional pay-to-play tax for a developer. And for him to sit there and say, oh, that's a needed grocery store there, it's a great grocery store, but we already had several grocery stores right in those neighborhoods, so.
The issue is the hotel CID.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm going to address what was brought up during that, because I'm tired of us being under attack by people that are giving uneducated statements out there and attacking us, so this is my time to speak back. Now, I did have notes on that. For everyone to understand, because I get plenty of emails about this, a CID is a pay-to-play tax. It's for the hotel only. So you're only going to pay this tax if you go to do something at the hotel and spend money there. Next, this is one of the avenues of our reimbursement, because everyone sits there and says, oh, you only sold the hotel for $100 or $1 million. This is one of our avenues to recoup the money that we put into the hotel. The hotel that is vital for the Expo Center, and after all that money that's put into the Expo Center, to keep that going, because if we lose that hotel, we lose a lot of events at the Expo Center. So this to me is a no-brainer, and it's not about what's good for us and what's good for someone else. This is what we're trying to do to recoup the costs that we put in on the taxpayer dollars to get back into the city's budget. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm sorry, I'm just upset about what was said at that by the last speaker there, so.
Deputy Mayor Hofer.
I've read this, but I can't seem to find it. When would this go into effect? I'm assuming if we do this now, we're still in the first quarter, would it be soon enough to start charging in the second quarter? Or third quarter?
July 1st. We're required
July 1st.
We're required to give an entire quarter's
Quarter.
notice. So that's why we're trying to get it in March, so that we have the 3
Mike.
months notice. My apologies. KDOR requires that we provide an entire quarter notice before they would implement it. So we're trying to get this in March, so that if we get it to them by March 31st, we will meet the deadline so that they will be able to start collecting this tax on July 1st.
And then we'd actually see income, and this might be a finance question, but it's generally lagging about 2 months, I believe. Does that sound about right?
That's my understanding. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? If not, we have a motion to approve from Councilmember Kell, and a second from myself. If there's no other comments, we'll ask the clerk to take a vote, I guess, not roll.
Councilmember Valdivia Aquila?
No.
Councilmember Ortiz?
She said thumbs up.
All right, we have 8 yes with Councilmembers Valdivia Aquila and Banks voting no. The motion carries.
All right. With that, unless I am mistaken, there's nothing else on this evening's agenda. Always double check. So we will move to public comment. First up is Rodney Lavelle. Rodney Lavelle, are you here? All right, I'll circle back just in case I should. Next up, I have Danielle Twemlow.
Good evening. I wanted to come back around because it's been a while since I brought up the Cora request from a very long time ago that I placed for information regarding Kansas topsoil and dealings within our water department. And mind you, I spent $400 for records that are incomplete. And also are publicly available in many other cities. They just put this information on their city's website. It's just transparent already. And I paid $400 for them. So that's a little rough, considering that what I received was 200-ish PDF documents. The second set of PDF documents were just duplicates. They were already included in the first set of documents that are also incomplete from what is required to be placed within this set of information for a contract bid. So, you know, it was stated it was going to take 2 whole days to just provide the contracts, the bids, the invoices and payments for one company. It was going to take 16 hours. We paused the emails because that seemed a little tricky for requesting. So I'm really concerned about the inefficiency of our record keeping or our ability to even just pull basic documents about projects and what is happening. As you can tell, even from printing out, this was covered in coffee and likely looked like it was crumbled up on someone's floor of their truck. Before I received it. So we got to do better, right? But it clearly was also just a scramble to get me the information, and I feel like maybe things were just written in because while the rest of the documents are still being audited and reviewed, I went ahead and just pulled 3 to present to you just randomly. And consistently, in all 3 sets of these documents, nothing made sense. So we would have printed worksheets that had printed dates on them, such as this documentation coming from 8/30 of 21. It was pre-printed, yet someone wrote in 8/27/25 and assigned that work to Kansas Topsoil for 8/27 of 25, giving it a high priority of an emergency, even though originally was 2 years earlier. They completed it that day, sent the invoice that day, and were paid very quickly. That's the case with all of them that I've pulled just as random sampling. But I also want to state that the comparison that I was utilizing last time I was up here was a website where the city was maintaining a database of these projects, and you could pull up and see where these happened. It's no longer available on the city website. It's missing. The link is gone, but luckily I went ahead and just screenshot and saved it so I would have it at a later date in case that happened as I anticipated. And again, the dates are years or days off, and none of them match up to the documents that were provided by the city. The own city's documents that were provided have different dates on each and every one, with them being completed and paid for the very same day. So I will provide my Cora to all of you if you would like to read it so you don't have to do it yourself. And I just want to state that if we're investigating different complaints, that we need a financial investigation as well.
All right, next up, I have Mr. Lazone Grays.
Sure, why not? Good evening, City Council and Mayor. The top sheet is, well, actually, it was a part of the copies that I had provided last month on the 10th, so that was 4 weeks ago. And I'm not sure on the second sheet, Shawnee County, if I had provided that. I had received this information from request by the Kansas Department of Labor. The next sheet, 2 sheets by the numbers, Topeka by the numbers, these are a copy of what the JADO receives on economic development, sort of, I guess, a snapshot of where the economics of the city is every quarter at the end of the year. The following several pages is other documents that I had received from the Department of Labor over the years, because these are sort of numbers that I like to look into. And the last sheet on the bottom is basically just proof that, I'm not new to coming and speaking to this issue. But I'm going to go back to the front sheet because it's the one that's important to me. It's the numbers that I highlighted in red, which I just had put a red dot on when I gave them to you on the 10th. I think that anyone looking at them can see that there's a problem with those numbers. I would think that if people looked at those documents when I passed them out on the 10th, that somebody would say, whoa, is this the right number? We need to talk about this. What is there a solution to this? Over the years, and the reason I provided the copies of what you received for your JADO meeting is that they have their unemployment rates there. These are the only numbers that you get during the quarter. It's been like that for all the years. But what if I was to slide up these other numbers that are accurate next to it? Would that change the conversation, the discussion, the priorities, the directives that you would give your contractors to find solutions to something that is an apparent problem? 3.40 and 4.20, those aren't bad considering state and a national reflection. I mean, it's good enough to whereas you just get this unemployment 3.40, it's not too bad. Have your presentations, give $1 million plus to a couple companies that make multi-million dollars, stop the meeting, go take a picture, come back, do it again. And by the time that those decisions are had, you can tell that, a lot of discussions are had, meetings are had, budgets are shared, numbers are shared by the time you get information to vote on something. And so for the life of me, when I bring up information that seems to be concerning to people who are elected in this community, that someone would say, you know, these numbers are bad and what do we need to do about it? Employment numbers and unemployment rates is economic development. This really isn't about money from the city. It's not really about money from the sales tax. It really is about leadership in some type of direction that would be given. If the Topeka unemployment population in large was 12%, 14%, I think that the powers that be would actually be talking about this and holding people to have some meetings and doing something about it. So these numbers just don't sit well with me, and I would hate to think that the numbers in the back shows that these are not an anomaly. This is sort of the norm. You know, I don't know what to say about these numbers here. If the city was 12%, maybe you would be doing something. But if this is an expendable population, then I guess you don't have to do anything at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grace. Next up, I have Mr. Henry McClure.
Your Honor, thank you for the grace of 12 minutes. You're a good man. I remember when I'm walking out of here last week, I remember what I was pontificating I wanted to talk about. There was quite a presentation done by MTAA. But you know, one thing they forgot to talk about is their lawsuit. Do you know that their bank account got garnished between last week and today to pay that judgment? I think it's about 1.8 million. Imagine a government agency here, and also the Dearserism is perfect in that with the old chamber guy out there now, the magician, you know, the attorney from Payless. He's part of the whole thing, but nobody's talking about a judgment to the MTAA and the accountability. You know, they're all Project Great Guns, you know. We're the best agency known to man with no flight service. But let's think about the truth and transparency. You know, I've got a real client that wants to bring 150 jobs here. I don't have to have the railhead. We want a 125,000 square foot building with 35 foot ceiling. Well, if there isn't one, we could build one. We're actually a building panel company. We could build our own building. But you haven't at least offered us free land. Nobody's made an offer. The way site selection works, and I've done this in my life, is yes, we're out looking for the best opportunities. And the city of Topeka ought to at least give us a bid. Give me a bid to take to my people. But Lazone's presentation was pretty interesting. You know, one thing that's interesting about him, all he had to do was sue in the very beginning the sales tax, and he could have got that set aside, the 10% in the beginning. And we had people that were going to offer to back him, but that's okay. But here we are today. I appreciate your time. I do. But these are things that we got to think about. One thing that you've really got to think about when you crunch the budget, you got to start looking at Go Topeka as just an expense. That's all they are, is an expense to you. The salaries you pay for them, the salaries you pay the NGO, it's unnecessary. You got somebody qualified back here to do it. She can do it. She can do the job. give her a country club membership too. She can keep up with Molly. The chickens, they're going to come home to roost. And it's really sad. Somebody asked me today, what are you going to talk about at City Council? I said, I'm going to talk about trying to make it to where you want to stay in the city. It was a young lady serving me some coffee. But we can do things different, and you can do it today. But I can't wait to see this budget process. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to circle back one more time to make sure that Mr. Rodney Lavelle, you ever show up? All right. Well, with that, we will move on to announcements. City Clerk.
For the March 17th agenda, we'll have two presentations. The first on the City of Topeka 2025 fourth quarter financial report, and the second will be on effective utilities management. On the consent agenda, we have one professional services contract with SBB Engineering for design services for Dreams 2 and 3 projects. Action items include a resolution for a zoning or a conditional use permit at 1200 Southwest Taylor Street. The second item is discussion with possible action of Topeka Dreams program for 2027 proposed modifications. And we'll have one discussion on utility bill real estate lien ordinance.
Deputy City Manager.
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kell.
All right, we have two regular speakers that, to me, have brought up some very valid points recently that we need to look at as a council. Mr. Grays and Ms. Twimlow have brought up about what we're putting into our TIF, RHID, CID projects, and what are the short-term and long-term benefits to the city and their citizens. They brought up very valid points about local employment to get the project started, local employment for once the project's up and running. So I think we need to really look at what those two have been saying and look at how we can, as a council, work on some of these projects to, especially when we're the voting members when it comes to getting some of these benefits and some of these avenues to get development going, but to see how we can benefit the city short and long term on these projects. And those are two people I'm definitely going to be sitting down with here shortly and figuring out what's the best way we can go about this, and then bringing in the city manager and other council members on this, because to me it's a no-brainer. I mean, we shouldn't be giving something to somebody that's going to go out and hire a crew from Kansas City to come in here, or turn around and just hire people from another area and bring them all in. We need to be looking at our short and long-term benefits to the city and our citizens. Thank you.
Councilmember Miller.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Bradbury.
I do have something. I just wanted to throw out there that TPAC has Alice Cooper coming, and if you don't have your tickets, go get them. They still have lots left. It's going to be an exciting show. I also want to say, I agree with you, Brett. I think that we do need to start figuring out ways how to incorporate some of those ideas that Lizone and Danielle has brought forth to the council.
Councilmember McGee.
A couple items. One, I would like to explore a little more and look into the way the NRP program is set up, specifically the rebates and stair step. Look at the policy on stair stepping, the rebates on those. That's something I've worked on for 30 years and usually see a lot of there's more steps in between. The other thing I would mention is I'm going to start making myself available to meet with residents in my district out at the Fairlawn Plaza the first Saturday of each month, 9 o'clock to noon, and then the fourth Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Thank you.
Someone else would have done that.
Deputy Mayor Hofer.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hiller.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia Alcala.
Thank you, Mayor. I am a little bit behind on doing any announcements, so I have about 4 or 5, so bear with me. I've been seeing the paper and the news and have deep concerns about the number of fires that we've been having, the injuries, the loss of life, the numbers of condemnations that we, are having in multifamily dwellings. I think some brutal lessons were learned with Timberley, and I know that changing our culture of property maintenance is working hard, but there's just so many things that we need to continue to relook at. One thing that I'm going to be focusing on really, really hard, which is a drop in the bucket, but a drop in the bucket is better than none, is the rental registry. I understand that there may have been some pushback from some landlords, et cetera, but I am so beyond that at this point, because if they know that they're a good landlord, then they don't have anything to worry about. I am deeply concerned of the number of bad landlords. So I look forward, and I hope that folks will consider tuning in to the Public Health and Safety meeting tomorrow, and I forgot what time it is. Councilwoman Hiller, can you tell me what time it is real quick?
1 to 2:30.
1 to 2:30, so thank you. Also, I wanted to say that while I was gone, I did review the police videos that were released from the city, from the police department. And, just in a nutshell, I need to say that they were absolutely brutal. They were beyond brutal. They were both very hard to watch. I'm not saying that, there wasn't any kind of issues that were happening on either one, but especially the one with Christopher, there should have been more mental health services provided. And it felt to me, honestly, very similar to the Lowry case in that there was a sense of him feeling, or appearing to me to be surrounded and corralled. My deepest condolences to the families, because we know none of this can be undone. I have a small glimmer of hope in that as I hear the chief talk about de-escalation, I hope that de-escalation can become the norm rather than the exception, because both of these, in my opinion, show a brutal amount of overreach and cruelty and brutality. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about is the whistleblowing. I made a comment in the paper that I was very heartened to see that Mayor Duncan was putting this into effect. I was still gone when all of this happened. I have asked him to still be a part of this committee because people in the community have been asking me. They've been texting me, emailing me since, and there's no ego on this. This is just fact that it was over 2 years ago that all of this started coming to me. So Mayor Duncan explained that there wasn't a whole lot happening with the committee right now, but I do appreciate Mayor Duncan you stating that if more things came to light, if more needs were had by the committee, that I would be a part of that because I think it's important. And also I just want to say I'm very glad to be back. To all those people out there with heart issues, prayers for you. For all of those out there who believe that you may have heart issues, please get checked. And I want to say a huge thank you to the cardiac rehab and the cardiac nurses and doctors at Stormont Vale Hospital. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz indicated she had nothing. Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Mayor. First, for me, I'd like to just say how happy I am to see Councilwoman back and hearing her voice. Not only do I consider her a colleague, but a friend. And for a while, it was pretty tough trekking, not knowing how she was doing. And to see you today kind of lifts my spirits. So I just wanted to say that. Also, I wanted to shout out to Councilmember Miller for having a very, very successful basketball coaching season at Topeka High this year. It was fun to watch him on the court and then sit by him here, totally different guy. You'd have to be there to see it, but it's kind of funny. The other thing on a more serious note is that I'm looking at this core request fee. I just can't see a $400 fee for a core request. I don't know what we can do about it, even if it's worth discussing at this level, but I just cannot see that. I know that in many cases these things are $25 or free. $400 seems pretty preposterous to me. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, before I start crying and carrying on. So thank you.
Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't mean to extend this anymore. I just want to say thank you, David. It's not a different person that you see. It's another side of me. It depends on who's coming at me and from which angle of what you get from me. And when we're competing out there within the lines, I 100% advocate for my kids. And thanks to Coach Robbie Sanders, Corey Powell, and Darius Singletary, who also were on the coaching staff. And I appreciate you. And good luck to our Topeka High girls, as they did make state and they are playing right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I also want to welcome back Councilmember Valdivia Alcala. Glad to have you back. While we're on the basketball note, a few things. The Washburn men and women both won the MIAA championship. It's the first time a single school has won them both since 2012, and that was Washburn that did it at that time too. So congratulations to them. The men play Saturday, 5:30 here at home. There's still some tickets left last I looked, so get on there and go cheer them on in the NCAA tournament in Division II. And then the women play this Friday night in Minnesota, so we'll be cheering them on from afar. And to the point about the local, we've kind of had a basketball renaissance, I guess, or we've been very spoiled because we had Topeka West boys, the Seaman boys, the Shawnee Heights boys, the Topeka High girls, and the Hayden girls all won their sub-state tournaments from the city, so that's a pretty good run for city teams to do that. To Councilmember Miller's point, the Topeka High girls are playing right now, so hopefully it's going well. No, it's not going well. Well, they got there. God bless them. I did want to say that there was a change this past week, and we appreciate that it has a home as the one-stop shop that we've worked very hard to make sure continues to exist and provide resources for the community. Had to move over to the Children's Palace, but I want to thank the Topeka Rescue Mission for taking that on right now because it's one more thing they're adding, and had they not, I'm not sure where it would be at this time. So I just wanted to thank them for that step, and there's still some work to do there, but thank you for finding a home for our one-stop shop. Last thing I want to say is, over the past several weeks, I have received questions about the internal review that I announced from the mayor's office and what the scope of that effort entails. So I want to provide a brief update. The review is underway. It will take multiple months to complete. While the work is being conducted directly out of the mayor's office through an independent third party and without involvement from city staff, I will keep this governing body informed and provide updates at appropriate times as the review progresses. It's also important to emphasize that this review is focused on examining our internal processes to ensure they are operating in a manner that is fair, consistent, and in the best interest of our employees. This effort is about evaluating how our systems and procedures function. One of the things I've heard, and I want all employees of the city to understand, is you should not be concerned that this review is going to reopen prior disciplinary matters. Doing so would not be appropriate from a moral, ethical, or legal standpoint, and that is not the purpose of this work. The goal of this is not to take cases in which employees were previously reviewed or absolved and attempt to reach a different outcome. Rather, the focus is on understanding whether our processes themselves are working as intended and how employees may have been impacted by those processes. When employees bring forward concerns, I want them to know those concerns are taken seriously. We have many dedicated and talented employees who care deeply about the work they do for our community. I'm appreciative of them all, and every day will work to help the citizens of Topeka understand the critical role they play in improving the lives of everyone. I want to ensure our internal processes support them, operate as intended, and reflect the standards of professionalism and accountability that I and our organization expects. If improvements are needed, we will take the necessary steps to make those corrections. With that, we have no executive session, correct? Woohoo! So this meeting is adjourned.